west, get lost with me. No microchips planted in me. I'm not a hippie, but I do hippie things.
In the mid-18th century, tensions between the most powerful nation on earth and its loosely strung together colonies was on the rise. Great Britain, sore from years of warfare and management of its vast global empire, turned to the colonies for relief of its accumulated debt. No taxation without representation became a slogan repeated across the 13 colonies and expressed their collective disdain for what they saw as British tyranny. It started them on a path to that moment in 1775 when the shot heard round the world was fired. I stand on the bridge where the first shots of the revolution were fired, and on that side stood the American militia, which was not really an army at that time, but just a militia of ragtag people with a gun around this area. Concord, Mass. Is where we are. On the other side stood the British Army, the Redcoats, as we called them, and the first skirmish happened right here across this bridge. Welcome to New England. Though the English were the eventual proprietors of all 13 colonies, New England in modern terms refers only to the colonies originally settled by the Brits. Massachusetts is its most famous, and here you see me walking around one of its many lakes and forested areas. This one in particular is Walden Pond, where early American naturalist Henry David Thoreau lived in the wild and helped the young nation to find its identity of self-reliance and intellectual reason.
All you need is love. So I'm gonna go check out these giant hearts over here. Those giant hearts.
In 2005, I moved to the Northeast, New York City to be exact, which is not New England, but we'll get into that later. At the same time, a former bandmate moved to the Boston area with his young family, and through them I got to explore the region from surfing Narragansett in Rhode Island to camping in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. What you see here is the De Cordova Sculpture Park near Concord. I have genuinely fallen for New England, and it's true what they say about the falls here. There is nothing like it. On this particular trip, the family and I headed to a place called Appleton Farms for a little Easter celebration. All over Massachusetts are farms like this. This one happens to be the oldest continuous farm in the United States. 1636 is when it started, the Appleton family from England. Today I'm here with my friends Shelby, Jenna, Mia, and Lennon. We're doing an Easter egg hunt. After the farm, we headed downtown to the biggest city in New England. By the way, the music you hear right now, well, that was made by me and that old bandmate of mine, the dude in the blue hat.
Restaurant, the Oyster Union House of Boston. Take two. I'm here at the oldest continuously operating restaurant in the United States, the Union Oyster House. Just got some clam chowder. If you come to Boston, if you come to New England, you gotta have some New England clam chowder. We are in Boston.
Our last stop of the day was the observation deck atop the Prudential Center, where you can see Boston in 360 degrees. But doesn't it feel like to you that we're taller than that black building?
Yeah, it seems like we're taller than the New York.
But I guess we're not, because it said that's the tallest building in New England. There are what on the roof?
Peregrine Falcons.
Really?
Yeah.
They're living up there?
Yeah.
That's cool.
The white, silver, and glass building.
Yeah, the one closest to us, yeah.
The one closest to us, it's in front of the church.
Yes.
Right behind it, you see the red tiles?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool library. It's the first library in the world to have books people can check out and take home.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the first library where you could do the checkout system?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, that building, beside that building?
Yeah.
Awesome! Oh. My forehead's sweating through the glass.
Warm with the sun. Boston might be one of the most underrated cities in America. It's actually the biggest college town in the States with over 250,000 students attending 35 different schools. This dedication to learning keeps the city vibrant and perpetually young at heart.
The truth about the American road trip, especially in the Northeast, is that you're going to have to pay to travel on the roads. Hi.
After leaving the family, I went to my homeboy's place in southern Massachusetts.
Holte! What up, everybody? This is Holte, my friend. He's like the DJ Magic out here in England. I got poetry and magic at my fingertips.
Holte's a native New Englander, and he's, in general, just a good dude to be around. Along with that wicked smart accent, he's got a great sense of humor and has always got a smile on his face. And he makes pretty good seafood, too, which is in abundance in these parts. This is Providence, Rhode Island, just across the Massachusetts border. A mid-sized city with a big, artsy reputation. Of course, being with DJ Holte, I knew we'd be on the hunt for vinyl, and there are lots of great record stores like this one on the East Coast. But Holte's vintage obsession goes well beyond records, and I soon discovered there's a huge vintage and antique scene around here. Not only are there lots of stores, but they're also massive. I mean, floor after floor, shelf after shelf of anything and everything. One of the stores suggested lunch at this place, which I now highly recommend. Good eats, artsy vibe, and a friendly staff.
Damn it, that's pretty dope.
You guys need to try it. Well, you know what? Here. Well, I'll try it.
Oh man, let's do it.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cookie cheers.
Cheers.
People who have dietary needs, like vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, all of that is covered tenfold here,
Right.
which is great.
Before heading over to the bay, I noticed this blinged up dumpster and decided to leave my mark. Our mark. You figured it out yet?
Oh, somebody's calling you, Holte. Somebody's calling you.
Yep. Oh, push method show? Yeah, what time's that?
In the industrial age, Providence was an epicenter of manufacturing, earning the title Beehive of Industry. But as the global economy changed and production moved, Providence took a major hit. Depression swept the city. But as artists often do, they began to flock to the empty warehouses and the cheap housing, and over time, this changed the city's identity into what is now known as the creative capital.
So apparently when you whistle, you
I don't know, where?
beckon
It's
swans.
beckoned it, yeah.
Holte started whistling and the swan came
Why
right
did
up
his
to us.
attention?
Yeah, I guess you're a swan guy. Now, dude.
Wow.
That's good, dude. 38. That's a pretty good score. Best game of my life. Never bowled over 100 until tonight.
Our next stop was at the location where the Pilgrims started their colony in 1620, and thus New England was born.
Downtown Plymouth on another gloomy day, but it's not so cold.
Want to go and check this place out?
I don't know.
Plymouth is considered the hometown of America. It's also the center of folklore around the American holiday Thanksgiving. As legend has it, the Pilgrims shared a feast with the Native Americans in celebration of a plentiful harvest. True or not, the story is a small light in the dark history between the natives and the colonists. The holiday was actually institutionalized nearly 250 years later during the Civil War. Again, a light in the dark.
Holte's totally wearing me out on this whole
I knew it was
vintage
coming.
antique thing.
I scored 8
If I see another 8-track, I might blow my brains out.
Email me.
I'll email him. Holte's into collecting 8-tracks. 8-tracks. This.
Coffee shop right there. Tell me.
Next up, we crossed back over into Rhode Island and went to another old colonial town, Newport.
Caution.
Newport.
Been a whole week. They're rainy, dreary. Not too cold today though. Walking the cliff walk. Yeah, I heard thunder. This is the cliff walk apparently.
This carefully crafted path along the Atlantic coast is one of a kind. To your right, you'll find mansions now open to the public which once belonged to American royalty. And to your left, Ruggles, one of the best surf spots in the East Coast. I loved the sound of the water crashing through those rocks. If you look closely, you can see me in the distance running toward that mysterious opening in the cliff. Some things inspire this ongoing fairy tale in my mind. And the cliff walk, well, it certainly did that.
Famous. Why is that famous?
It was here before people were here. They don't know why.
Here at the Newport Tower, this thing behind me. Allegedly, it used to be a windmill, but they're saying that maybe it's older than that. They're saying that maybe it's like Templar type era, pre-colonial. Of course, if you're going to speculate about that, you might as well speculate about people from other worlds, right, Halsey? I mean, if this pre-colonial, pre-human, who knows? What's the deal? What's the deal with this thing? Where's the plaque that talks about this thing? That doesn't tell us anything. No. What is it, Gaelic? It's just a mystery. One giant mystery.
I left Holte behind with the aliens and headed south. This is Wickham Park in Connecticut, where I decided to make a pit stop. That's the capital city of Hartford you see in the distance. My destination was the city I've grown very fond of.
Hey everybody, I'm here in DC, the nation's capital, in Farragut Square. You can see it here, where all the food trucks are. I just discovered these. I'm just gonna pick one here. I heard the taco stand is good. They're not here today though, so I'm gonna try that Peruvian rotisserie chicken over there. But yeah, welcome to DC. It's a beautiful day. Finally feels like spring. I'm wearing sleeves rolled up. Ah! Here at the Columbia Heights Market, which is a neighborhood just next to Mount Pleasant, where I'm house sitting for Megan. It's a beautiful day in spring. Everybody's out. I'm wearing shorts now. Oh my God, thank God. So I'm cruising towards the Capitol here on the bike share. This is pretty cool. This is pretty cool about DC. They have these cycle paths in the middle here, and you can see the Capitol in the distance. All right, plugged in the Capitol bike share, and off to the Capitol. Gonna have a tourist day. So I have this thought that maybe we should do a scavenger hunt, some sort of scavenger hunt at all the monuments, and you have to find it. Take a selfie.
Yep, I did make that scavenger hunt. You should click the link and check it out. Get some ideas and highlights about the famous Washington, D.C. monuments, which is a must even for the most tourist trap-averse. But this segment of my road trip is not about the cool things to do and see in D.C. There's a ton of those, but instead this is about my time with my favorite local. Like many here, she works in the public sector, but also happens to be a part-time foodie and all-around great human being.
Hi, I'm back. That's Megan. That dog that I was looking after, her dog. And now we're smoking hookah and
Columbia Heights. You're giving me a weird face right now.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Are you... Stop filming things!
This is my roommate in New York, by the way. And my adopted sister, Megan Milano. We're just going to leave the camera on her and see how she does that. And we're in some stranger's apartment. I don't know where we are. We just decided, let's go in here. And I kicked the door down, and we had this conversation about police.
Nope, we sure did not. That's not a thing that we did. Nobody did that.
We did, it's true. And I'm kicking over shoes. I don't know what's going on. What is this car to go? This is a rental car service. You drop your car sharing, you drop your car, and somebody else picks it up. Park it anywhere.
We're gonna drive down.
Wait, and go. And wait. And, oh, yeah.
You fucker. I hate everything about you. We're driving down 14th, working our way over to H Street, where the hipsters live.
Oh, the hipsters. Yes.
But these are kind of like the...
I got my Kurt Cobain sunglasses now.
Those are my sunglasses.
They're mine. I'm stealing them.
They're actually mine.
I'm stealing them.
No.
200 restaurants in the past 5 years?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's insane. There's no need to... Can you figure out where you're going?
Road rage! Road rage! Ah! Oh man, it is past noon and I have not had coffee yet. This is a bloody tragedy. This is a tragedy.
You don't even know how to talk.
What a tragedy.
Just go to park.
We made a decision to stay on 14th Street and try something new with Megan Bellato, my local DCer and foodie, lover of all the food thingies.
Delicious food.
So we're gonna go to the Diplomat.
French food.
French food, and they have pear pats on top. And it's called the Diplomat.
Steak frites.
Steak. He was telling me that DC parking sucks.
It's the worst.
But we had a car to go right by the place. Parking key. Yeah.
Some parking key.
You have parking key or I have parking key?
It's
I did that.
I bring my own tea.
I did that.
You did.
This place, the Diplomat, comes highly recommended by Megan and I. We were here for Sunday brunch, which is a major part of the culture here in DC. Do yourself a favor and get into it, though you might find yourself passed out well before your bedtime.
Oh, it's on right now. Little free, steak and eggs. This is my twin brother up here. Yeah, we look alike, huh?
Washington, D.C., or the district as locals call it, is so much more than its government and museum-oriented reputation. It rivals New York in the foodie department, has a massive nightlife scene, and has these absolutely gorgeous neighborhoods to explore. I wouldn't be surprised to find myself living there one day. And I think this place will actually do nicely.
New York City, home to the hustle, home to the struggle. Lived here for 9 years. Actually, this is still home, kind of. I have a bunch of my stuff in a storage facility in Queens. Back in New York, back at home.
New York City, center of the universe. At least so goes the phrase from the famous bohemian rock opera Rent. It's that attitude and lifestyle that brought me to the urban jungle fresh out of college. It's the city of big dreams that will chew you up and spit you out if you can't catch up to its furious pace and cutthroat mentality. I'm a New Yorker, and no matter where I go from here, I will always wear that as a badge of honor. But like I said before, this is not New England, this is New Nederland, and I actually prefer its original name, which tells the true origin of culture here.
As a kid growing up in New York, there's a little bit of a shadiness in your childhood when you grow up in New York City. It's that one quote that I love from Swingers, when the dude pulls out a gun and he's like, "What are you carrying a gun for? You live in a nice neighborhood in LA." And he was like, you didn't grow up here, you don't know what it's like. It's not like New York. And John Favreau was like, "You're damn right it's not like New York. Out here you can avoid trouble. In New York, trouble finds you." I've been mugged. I've been in a lot of bad situations in New York. But it kind of made me who I am. It puts that callus on your soul that is real hard to kind of get rid of, and you kind of don't want to, you know?
So, New York, like DC, like Boston, everywhere has the bike share system pretty strong now. There's lots of bike lanes in New York City these days. Lots and lots of bike lanes like this one. No matter how many times I come to New York City, no matter how many times I give New York City trouble, it's a place you fall in love with over and over again. Dave Adams! The AGP man, the acoustic guitar first dude, right there!
You shouldn't say anything top secret. All right, I'm not gonna say anything top secret. Nothing about the big idea.
You can't have them.
Not yet. They're coming to you very soon. Get ready.
Okay, we're signing off now because I have to learn top secret information that you don't get yet. Bye.
This is probably my favorite sculpture in the world, not because it's the most interesting or well-crafted or even beautiful, but because it's a playground in the middle of my beloved Central Park that speaks to the experience that is New York City. Coming here is like falling down a rabbit hole. The deeper you go, the more you feel like Alice. One minute you're big, the next you're small. The more you get to know New York, the more you know nothing at all. You are lost with all the Mad Hatters and Red Queens chasing Jabberwockies in a wonderland that will make your head spin and turn your world upside down. There are no stars above, just the ones in the streets you walk and on museum walls. And when you wake up to look through the glass, you find that maybe, just maybe, you are one. Welcome to Brooklyn Bowl, one of my favorite venues and probably the hottest neighborhood in New York, Williamsburg. It's full of whatever your flavor of hip and is the epicenter of the art scene, including the one New York invented, street art. It was in the late 70s and 80s that Jean-Michel Basquiat and Keith Haring took graffiti to the next level with their socio-political art blasted on subway cars and city walls. This is Hal and Nassim, two super talented dudes I happen to catch working on a new mural in Williamsburg. And this is their pup Nico. It was one of those magic moments that you're sure to find if you spend enough time in New York.
Ready? It starts now.
I can't end a Northeast U.S. road trip without highlighting something that's all over the region, the great outdoors. So I hopped in a car with my bandmate Dan and his girlfriend Maria for a day trip to Breakneck Ridge, where we had an epic afternoon getting lost in the wilderness.
Dan Heinzen, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen.
Throwing nuts.
Always throwing his nuts around.
When I first moved to New York, I had no idea that such great outdoor activities were just a short ride away. This hike in particular was one of the best bouldering inclines I've ever done. A good challenge with a great view and only an hour and a half away from the city. New York is a place I've loved since I was a teenager, but I never imagined how much I would eventually fall in love with the Northeast region as a whole. Washington, D.C. is the perfect combination of northern hustle and southern hospitality. Rhode Island is still new to me, but leaves me wanting more. And New England is a treasure trove of activity and culture. And still there's so much more that I haven't had the chance to see or do, whole states I've yet to venture into. Nowhere else in the USA do you have such a consolidated collection of major cities. It's a great place, and I'm lucky to have called it home for 9 years.
This is getting... Story done. They're through here.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Wander West. For more information about everything you saw and heard on this video, visit wanderwestroadtrips.com. That's wanderwestroadtrips.com.